Welcome to Simply Sarah. I'm Sarah Stockham. I'm your host, and I am so glad that you are here. Whether you are listening live as this is being broadcast, or you are choosing to come in and listen later on when it works best into your schedule, know that we are careful about who we bring on to the show and that these conversations are carefully put together so that you will be able to expand, so that you are encouraged. And today is going to be a day of just like that, another episode, another conversation that's going to be so powerful for you. We're bringing in Claudia Saputo, and I got to meet her when we were both still living in Southern California. Claudia, it is a beautiful thing today to be meeting up with you again.
Yes, it's so nice. I'm so grateful for following my path's journey. And one of the biggest blessings that I get from that is coming across incredible people like you, Sarah. So I was so glad when your message came through and glad to reconnect and join you here today.
This is fabulous. I know a little bit about your story, but I would love for you to share with our audience about how you got to where you are, because you began in the medical world, as did your husband, and then you guys made some different choices, different changes along the way, and we'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, my story is truly one that has humbled me to the core. I was somebody that was raised on antibiotics and cough syrup. I was somebody that knew from the very start I wanted to help and serve others. And so to me, that looked like going into the medical field, going into the nursing field, and seeing what impact I could have over other people's health. And just as you mentioned, my husband was on that same career path. So we were both registered nurses. I spent over a decade working very odd but very rigorous specialties. So I specialized in the neonatal intensive care as well as emergency medicine, which was a very crazy, hectic life to try to manage as we were growing and raising our family. And I thought this was it. Anytime a health issue or concern would come up, I knew how to use medicinal tools. That was my life, that was my career. And it often isn't until we're put up against a wall with very little options that forces us to really analyze what we're doing in our life. Is this the best option? And is there something perhaps out there that has a different solution to offer to us?
Yes.
So that is where my story started. We had our first child, and he had lots of respiratory issues. We thought, we know exactly how to take care of this. Here are all the meds. Here's the protocol we're going to follow, that was given to us. And we're on a very rigorous schedule with him and medications. And some time started going by. I think the thing that really opened my eyes was starting to see my son's personality start changing in little ways. I started noticing a toll that side effects were having on him and his little body. And I kept getting the same answers from different physicians, from different healthcare workers. And it was something that really I did not want to hear. Like, you're doing everything you can, you've tried everything, stay at it. When I knew I was going home to a sick baby. And I think that's something really heartbreaking to tell a mom, like, there's nothing else you can do except watch your loved one suffer. And I'm not sure if you, Sarah, have gone through similar situations, or maybe the audience, you feel so isolated, so helpless.
Great word. Yes. Yes.
Right. And so I started thinking, you know what? I know there's something else. Something inside me is just that intuition that I had just bottled up and not paid attention to for so long. I felt like I needed to come back to myself and look for something outside the box, outside of the options that were being talked about in my world, in the medical world. And at that time, essential oils were not popular at all, but I kept coming back to them and coming back to research. And that is truly what started me on this journey. Like, there is so much research out there that's very rarely shared.
Right.
And once I got deep into the research of essential oils, of using a true, pure, potent, unadulterated essential oil. That's where my world kind of started colliding. And I saw where there was space for natural tools and even Western medicine to coexist. We
Yes.
live in such a beautiful world that I'm hopeful none of us need medications. I'm hopeful that we're all thriving on different things that we pour into our life. But if there ever comes a time and a place where I need something, I'm grateful for those tools. But an interesting shift happened that when I brought in natural tools into my home, started using them on my son, we saw a dramatic, almost just overnight change in him and his health. And I don't want to say it was one thing.
Right.
It was like a piece of a puzzle, Sarah, if you know what I'm talking about, because we were bringing in these natural tools and we started using like a room diffuser instead of lighting the fragrance candles. That one change alone caused a cascade of different reactions to happen within his body. Through making simple little changes in my home, I learned that my son didn't have chronic issues. He was getting little doses of poison and toxicity throughout my home without me even realizing it. And so it's been a very eye-opening, very humbling journey for us, and one that has made me a continual student. And I'm so grateful for that. It shifted me paths from going in my, nursing career to knowing that if I have something simple that's side effect free, that's working for us, for our bodies, for our families, I bet there's a family, an individual out there who would love to know about these simple solutions as well. And so that's where my whole world has shifted, really.
I love your story, and I love how you pursued what you loved, helping other people and making a difference with their health. And as you pursued that, you went into nursing, and not just any kind of nursing. You were very specific about what you chose to do, working with the tiniest ones, right? And then also people who have had catastrophic things happen, and they
Right.
aren't necessarily processing what's going on
Yeah.
in the ER. And
Yeah.
those are two places where people come in, and if they aren't stressed, the people around them are highly stressed.
Yeah.
And so you chose a place to work that definitely made a difference. And your being there and your personality and your words and your way of being, I know, has helped so many different people go through difficult things. But you weren't afraid when your son was exhibiting challenges to start looking at what else there could be. And as you were doing that research, what an incredible thing to come across something that's been used literally since the beginning of time, which is plants, right? And the oils that the plants give off. And it's not that all plants are necessarily right for each individual person, but doing the research and being willing to do the research to figure that part of the story out, and then to have such an incredible difference. We have a diffuser here in the space that I'm in, and it has completely, radically changed the feeling in the room.
Yeah, it shifts the energy. It's something, it's very interesting, Sarah. Even people that have lost their sense of smell, there's been research done that even they are getting full systemic body benefits by just the cells interacting with that cascade that happens within the body. So it is very fascinating. And I'm grateful for that season of my life, that season, in that medical field, like working in the ER, it taught me so much. And again, going back to that time where, when I was young, deciding what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to help others.
Right.
But it turns out I didn't need letters behind my name to do that. Nobody does, right? We all have this knowledge that we've acquired throughout our life. And so this felt very natural to just share, to just share that knowledge, because I know there's somebody else suffering with the same issues, the same ailments, the same reactions we were having to common household items, when something so simple had made such a drastic change in our life. And the same goes for working in the emergency room. I wanted to help these people, and not just one time. I wanted to deeply help these people, but it's incredibly frustrating when someone goes in for a medical emergency. We're able to give them medication and tools and help them in that moment, in their moment of need. And I'm so grateful for that. At the same time, I was very aware that as we send these patients off back home, back into their world, if they're not making daily changes, if they don't have daily guidance of just how do we shift this, because we don't want to stay in that same space that got us in trouble in the first place.
Right.
So that is where I thought the majority people, that they're lacking that knowledge. They're lacking simple tools, simple little daily things, many of which are free, and others are just simple things. Like you said, they've been used since the beginning of time. And once that intuition kicks in, oh, it is just such a beautiful thing to go from taking orders, having protocols, to what am I feeling? What does the space need? What does my body need? What does my mind need? Like, it's just a different world. And that empowerment is what got me hooked on this lifestyle. It really is a completely different lifestyle, and choosing to share that with other people, it wasn't even a choice. I can't even say it was my decision. It was just my body, everything in me just wanted to empower others with those same tools.
I think what you shared about not needing to have initials behind our last name in order to give us that credential is that space of us choosing to give ourselves permission. If we wait around for someone else to give us permission, we'll be waiting a really long time. But if we give ourselves that permission to say, I'm going to share this, I'm going to let other people know, and to do it in a way that's conversationally, right? When I invite people to come and be on the show, or if I invite people to come and watch the show, it's a conversation. And if it works for them, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay as well. To not be attached to the outcome necessarily is attached to the desire to help other people. And so with that, then, to really monitor any type of discouragement or any type of reaction to the word no or not now, just being aware of that, because it's just information. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they don't like whatever you're sharing. It's just that the timing isn't right for whatever reason. And the timing as in the timing, or timing as in they haven't learned enough or opened their mind enough in order for it to be something that would be a good fit for them. And
that is so spot on. That is so spot on, Sarah. I have all those same feelings that had somebody shared these tools with me years prior, I was so closed off. I was not ready to hear what they had to say. It had to be my perfect timing. And the same goes as I'm sharing the knowledge that these tools can have, the empowerment. Not everybody is ready. And it's not my job to force anybody into that space, because that's not going to work. You might be able to, get them some essential oils in their house, but that doesn't mean they're going to use them. That doesn't mean that they're going to truly live that lifestyle. They're not going to see those changes. They're not ready. I'd rather just shower them in knowledge and give them time and space, and just keep that friendship going in any other way, because we're not here to force anybody into anything. It's their own timing, just like I know it was mine, just like your and our entire life's plan. It's just everything is in its own time.
Oh, I love that. We're going to get a quick break here, but Claudia, when we come back, I'd love for you to share that space of what expanse looks like, what part of it comes from you guys choosing to move to a different part of the country, but part of that was actually your heart expanding, you guys, and your business expanding as well, right? So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that when we come back. Hi, I'm Sarah Stockham. Recently, we were doing some renovation work, and as we were doing all of the decorating, the color blue, specifically cobalt, kept showing up for me in different areas in different ways. And I thought, what I really want is a signature piece that is in cobalt. So I went to Glass Arts Collective and found this amazing piece. I absolutely love it. In fact, when it arrived, my husband wanted it. It is so beautiful. It's nice and heavy. It was perfectly packaged. So when it came, there was no concern at all about if it was going to show up all right or not. I love that it's handmade. I love that it's unique. And I invite you to go to the glassartscollective.com and go shopping. Pick something up for yourself. Pick up some gifts for others. I know that you will enjoy how beautiful the work is. When we have these conversations, they are always wrapped around how can we help leaders? How can we help entrepreneurs look at where they are and consider expanding themselves, consider expanding what they're working on, consider expanding the umbrella under which they are working. In this conversation with Claudia, I'm asking her to share a little bit about their expansion, that space in their heart, what caused them to see that they were ready to move their business, ready to expand what they were doing and how they were doing it. Claudia, I'd love for you to share a bit about that.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that all came about. I came from the mindset of I have my career in place. It's a career that I thought I would be in for the entire journey of my life, really. I didn't have any other plans at that point. And when these simple tools came into our home, I started thinking about the impact behind it all, the impact with the company that I chose to partner with, and the millions of lives that were being changed on the other side of the bottle. So here we had this big mission that really fell into our lap. And in the beginning, it just felt so natural for me to keep sharing these tools with friends and family members because I knew they needed it. And as I was doing that, I saw different things in our life, different blessings really unfold. And those blessings only kept growing and growing. And it all happened in a way that was so natural. I had to be ready for it, right? Just like you said, how do you expand this company? And by me sharing simple tools, started giving us more financial freedom, more time freedom. And I thought, what a big blessing. Two big stressors in people's lives are health and finances. And here was this big opportunity that simply landed on our lap. And by us choosing to share simple tools, it was turning around and blessing our family and giving me the ability to take back my time, to come back home with my family, to not be gone so long. And it really blew my mind how doing something that felt so natural, it felt like I want to share this whether I get paid or not. I wish somebody would have shared this with me sooner. I wish I would have had these tools sooner. And so the vision had to start with me and me going down that path, me taking those baby steps and being able to step away from my nursing career to only working part-time, and then being able to step away completely, and then wanting to give that gift to others as well. And so it was something that I wasn't planning on, but it felt so natural to only dive in deeper with myself and my journey and be able to guide others to do the same thing, to continue on these blessings. Because a gift this big, it only felt selfish if I would to just keep it to myself and not want something bigger. The more lives we impact, the more people are blessed around the world. And I think our world really needs that. It needs hope, it needs light, it needs something that sparks people's hearts, jolts them back into alignment. And I feel that's what I found.
Mhm. And in that space, then you also made this decision, and I'm loving this because you're sharing the process that it took, that it wasn't just immediately that you went from 0 to 100, where I'm going to completely stop working and I'm going to go do something else, that you were watching and living inside of that and making the decision, okay, we're going to move from here to here and we're going to watch and see how things go. And nobody has the crystal ball to look into the future, 5 years, 10 years. Ask anybody in 2019, right? What 2020 was going to hold. And some people had some, I don't knows, but most of us were pretty much busy going around doing life the way that we had been doing life. And so in that space of not, for any of us who are in business, not necessarily seeing, but putting forth in good faith what we believe is that the seeds that we are planting are being planted in fertile soil, and that they will take root and they will grow. And that if we nurture them, they will grow even faster. And if we share with other people the good things that we are doing, there is something that happens inside of that sharing that literally changes the words that come out of our mouth and how they hear them. It somehow changes our courage and our stance and how we feel about it. And so as you were making this decision to start that process of moving and eventually of moving into a different place, how did that help expand your business, or how did that help you see things from a different perspective?
Yeah, as I mentioned, this life really wasn't unplanned, but I just felt if I move forward with love and share the things that naturally are landing on my heart, that is leading us down this next path. And I thought fear, hesitation, overthinking, that only halts growth.
So good. Yes.
And so I needed to be very in tune with the internal chatter that was happening in my brain. I had to put that together because the reality is we can't come into this fruitful, thriving life with nothing but doubt, insecurity, negative thoughts running through our head. And so it had to be a mindset shift of I'm open to whatever this path has in store for me, has in store for us. And so being able to leave my nursing career altogether, come back, be a fully present mother to my 3 young kids, a wife, and still fulfill this big part of me that wants to help other people and create a bigger impact around the world. It had to take that leap. Yes, definitely a leap of faith, but knowing each step reveals its own unique challenges, but those challenges really are a gift that's like it's waiting. What do I want to say? It's like a challenge that has a gift for you waiting at the end of that challenge, right? And you're going to need
Yes.
that. You're going to need those
Yes.
tools on your journey. And
Yes.
so that led me to having full faith of leaving my nursing career. And Sarah, you and I have a unique story that both of us have left our home state. And so now I am across the country. And I think my journey really played into the role, that confidence of I know that my home was great for that season of life,
Yes.
but I had to think about it with excitement of what's in store for this next season. What growth is this journey going to take me on there? What new people am I going to be connected with in my new space? And so everything is a evolving journey, and it's humbled me to the core. It's helped me remain a student, which I love. I'm always learning. I'm always coming across great people to trade information, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything.
It's not been until this conversation that I have seen that some of the old games that were created, you know, decades ago were actually based on this concept of figure out the challenge. And when you figure out the challenge, you get the key, and you're going to need this key sometime in the future. So
Yes.
stay present for the challenge, because inside of it really is something that you need to learn, or that I need to learn. And you are absolutely right, Claudia, that when we go through the challenges and we are willing to take an inventory of what's going on, either during the process or possibly at the end, when we get to that space, we're able to see something that we have learned, or somehow how something has changed. And maybe we aren't happy necessarily with the change, but change is happening all of the time. And so if we're not happy with where things are right now, it's okay for us to keep pressing forward, keep listening intently, keep taking that time to sit and reflect, and to then take the next step as we feel like we are supposed to. And for a long time, Claudia, I really felt like, and this is me being a teacher, and that you get the curriculum at the beginning of the year, and it's logical, sequential. You start on page 1, you end at the last page, you've done all the things, right? I always, not always, but I had felt at different times, my mindset was that you can't, it's not okay to be making mistakes, because mistakes take time. And I'm beginning to see it so differently now, that it's not about that. Now that I'm not teaching curriculum like that in the classroom, for starting on page 1 and finishing the last page before test time, getting the opportunity from a different perspective to see that it really isn't that there are necessarily mistakes. There are these things that happen in life that we get to decide what tools we're going to choose to use or not. And if we're going to be in a space like you talked about, being a continual learner, learning new tools or new different ways to be able to navigate through that particular space. And what an incredible story that is, Claudia, that you are sharing. That not,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And it's really interesting. Oftentimes when there's going to be areas of growth in your life, we choose to kind of like step away, because again, that growth is wrapped up in hardships. And it's really interesting. Sometimes we pull away, and these lessons keep on showing up in our life in different ways until we are ready to take on that challenge. And learning that in the beginning really helped us on our journey, because I'm like, oh, okay, I see these challenges. And I saw it as life throwing different obstacles in my path and testing me out. Like, how bad do you really want this? Do you really want to empower people? What if you have negativity coming from people? What if you have these obstacles? What if, like, all of these things, like, what are you going to do then? And sometimes we think about those challenges in our mind, but it's not until they're right in front of us that you have to make that decision. Am I going to embrace this, learn from it, grow from it, and do something about this, continue on my path, continue doing all those things that I said I was going to do? Or
Yes.
is this where I stop?
Mm.
And so it was very early on that I had to make that decision. Like, yes, this is the path that I see very clearly for me. There's going to be all these obstacles. What am I going to do when they come my way, and just learn to expect them rather than be shocked and surprised and let them halt me in my path anywhere down the line.
I'm just reflecting on what you've shared and how good it is. In that space of being knowledgeable that difficult things present themselves in life. And the things that I probably didn't enjoy as a young child, I may not enjoy them now. but maybe I've become more mature and maybe I've learned some other tools or techniques to help me move through those, even though I'm not necessarily excited. Maybe I'm even grimacing inside about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I've learned some tools along the way that I can actually see to give myself an opportunity to have a different perspective, a different way of going through something that's difficult.
Right. And I think being on the path of entrepreneurship or having knowledge or tools and
Mhm.
wanting to share that with other people, it would be so nice if we did have a crystal ball, as you mentioned earlier, and we just, yes, this is going to be smooth sailing. But no matter what, we can't deny that ultimately things are going to be out of our control. And I think the year 2020 would probably flash over a lot of people's heads at this moment because there's things that are going to be unplanned. But what I realize is I need to focus on things that I can control instead of focusing on what I can't control. And it changed everything. That simple mindset shift of I control my own home, I control my energy, I control how I feel my body today, I control what goes on in my mind. And that's given me so much ease, especially going into this next year. Like, just
Mhm.
in life, it's just a different thought. And it has changed everything.
Mhm. Oh, that's just so, so good. What advice would you give to somebody who is in their day job? They are doing all the things that they set out to do, and yet find themselves in a place of really wanting to move to working for themselves under the umbrella of partnering with a company. What advice would you give them?
I think it really matters where your heart is pulling you. I think the idea of being your own boss sounds very amazing for lots of people.
Liberating.
In Right. Like, the
Yes.
idea is just so nice until you
Yes.
realize, am I that disciplined
Mhm.
to show up for myself day
Yes.
in, day out, with
Yes.
nobody looking over my shoulder, with nobody asking me, what did you get done in your 8 hour, 5 hour, 2 hour time block that you had set out for your
Yes.
business? And so there's a lot of realities that really come into play of entrepreneurship. Sounds so incredible, but without there being this bigger pool in your heart, I feel like sometimes that mark can definitely be missed. That's when a lot of misconceptions come in of like, oh no, this is just structured the wrong way and it's a trap. And I'm like, no, no, no. It's you truly finding something that you're aligned with. Some
Right.
days I wake up and I feel so blessed. I feel like, who am I meant to come across today? Who is my message supposed to land on? And just like you mentioned earlier, it wasn't like who's going to join me, who's going to, no, it's just who needs to hear the message. They're going to come back in their own time if they're not ready yet. But my job is to just show up, to give them the knowledge, to let them know that there's other tools that can help them through life, through stress, through simple things like better sleep, like removing toxins from your home, like improving hormone balance, like different things that truly at the end of the day make a world of a difference for somebody else. And so it's that thing of like, when I wake up in the morning, what's on my mind? What can I not stop thinking about? And so in that sense, it was very easy for me to move into that entrepreneurial space and to be my own boss and to start helping people globally. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would have this global impact. I'm someone that never had a huge circle of friends. I kind of kept to myself.
Mhm.
But when you have something so special, it's
Yes.
almost as if you can't keep quiet about it.
Mm.
It's not about you. It's not about how you look showing up or your hair or your mess going on. That that comes second to your message because your mission is so big. And so getting into that realm is just, it's a sweet spot.
It is. And I love that you are able to start your day in such a way that you are protecting that sweet spot, that you are seeing that there are these beautiful benefits, but that you're also seeing that it's something worth protecting. And part of that protection is how you show up for other people and how you are choosing to share. And that is such a powerful message, I think, right there. Um, and you're right
Yeah,
about the structure of things. Go ahead.
yeah, this journey is so unique in that oftentimes in life it's busy, busy, busy. It's lots of stressors coming our way. And being in the business world, you feel like you have to deplete yourself, giving everything you have into your business, when reality, the way I have seen it, is the more I feel centered and grounded in my vision and my dreams, and the more taken care of I feel, the
Right.
bigger blessing can go around to others. And I think that's the uniqueness of being in the health world. That health aspect has never left me. Trying to share vitality and wellness with other people, it's something that's just been engraved in me since a very young girl. And so it feels very special. It feels very special to wake up and to value my health and to feel so good and to want to give that to other people, to want to give them that knowledge, that empowerment, those simple tools.
So that they can then decide if they want to take those tools on and use them and decide. Again, it's like giving yourself permission. Can we give ourselves permission to be healthy? Can we give
Right.
ourselves that space to do that, not just be driven because we
Right.
have to get things done?
Yeah.
Um,
And it changes everything because you change one individual, you change the way they show up for themselves, for their spouse, for their loved ones, for their households, for their community. And so it's this trickle effect of goodness. And this is where I just keep coming back to, like, the world needs more of
yes,
this trickle effect.
yes, it absolutely does. I appreciate you sharing the advice that you would give in terms of making sure that it aligns. I think that's such a critical place. So many of us want to help the world, want to help people, want to make things better. I think it's really important for us to look to really spend some time with that and keep asking, and what does that look like? And then when we get an answer for that, to ask again, and what does that look like? And to do at least 6 or 7 different layers of that to really get down to what is it that instead of this platitude up here, what is it that really I am wanting to do, that I feel called to do, that I feel that is something that a way that I can give, that I can make a difference for other people. And for some people, it's going to be working for a nonprofit. It's going to be working for somebody else. And I fully understand that. But also for so many people who are willing to do the work of disciplining and disciplining the disappointments as well along the way, helping them in that place, helping themselves in that place to be able to help other people and to take a breath, but to not stop. I think that's so important for anybody who's an entrepreneur. Take out your calendar, put out the days that you're going to take off. Those are the things that go on there first. The days with your family, days to go to your kids' games, whatever it happens to be, those are the things that go on the calendar first as an entrepreneur. And then you begin putting on the other pieces. And I encourage every leader to leave space for themselves so that they can be listening and doing their work creatively, because it's not as fresh and new and vibrant to be doing something that we were doing a year ago or 8 years ago. I remember as a teacher that there was somebody who would talk about how they had all of that a cabinet in their top file, they had all of their files, folders in there, and they knew exactly when they finished this one, they go to the next one. When they finish that one, again, I understand that in the classroom, having to get through content. But people, even with content, they want to have it be applicable to them. They want to see the freshness of it. And so for leaders to have that space of creativity is such a remarkable and important place, I think, for us to be putting on our calendar.
It definitely lands different, and I see that now. A lot of the work I do, especially after moving across the country, a lot of it has moved into that online space.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, Sarah, but I can definitely feel it if I'm looking through and I see content coming through and I know it was created from like a creative heartfelt space
Yes.
versus something that's just put out robotic just to be out there. And so I am always more drawn to that connection. And sometimes it looks like very imperfect action,
Mhm.
right? And so those are things I've had to look at in my own business and see in my own path, while I raise three kids and see how blessed I am
Mhm.
to have this and to really show up. Even just as you said, there's days that things happen, but as long as you try to fill your cup even a little bit every single day, the information you put out is
Mhm.
a whole lot different.
Oh, absolutely. And if that just means getting outside and walking around the house once, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be that you get the full 2 hour massage on that particular day in order for you to have taken care of yourself. It can really be something that's just something that you say, I'm going to do it. And we increase our confidence when we do what we say we're going to do. And so I know that for me, for years, Darren Hardy taught me this. And it was probably about 2008, maybe, that I learned this to on Sunday afternoons. Everything's in my phone on my calendar, right? I can access it from a laptop, I can access it in different places. But on Sunday afternoon, I spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes going through my calendar and handwriting everything that I'm going to do for the week so that I can come back then and see where I think my energy might be tight or thin, as I call it, or other areas where I feel like I have a whole bunch of space and time. And on there are the appointments that I have or things that I am, the daily things that I do. I really do put lunch in there. I do put my quiet time in the morning in there. I do put these things that are important to me that I make sure that I do. But with that, then the next step is to write down how I want to feel as I'm doing those individual things. So when I go out for a walk in the morning and I'm watching the sunrise, how do I want to feel during that time? For me, it's not about the steps and getting the steps in. I know that the steps are important. I get that, right?
Yeah.
But it's about how do I want to be feeling? Because all I'm thinking about is I'm on step 79 and I have 1,000 or 3,000 to go. That's a whole
Yeah.
different feeling. I've got to get it done rather than I know the circuit that I'm going to walk and I'm going to choose to be present in this space. How do I want to feel if I'm present? And is it that I want to be present because I want to see the colors that are around me? Do I want to be present because I want to have the creativity space open to flow? Do I want to be present because there might be somebody out walking their dogs and we have a chance to have a conversation? What is it that I'm looking for, right? And so that
I
secondary
love
piece for
that.
me is so important to write down how I want to feel, not the outcome, but how I want to feel during that space and time.
Yeah, if we're not mindful, I find that this world has its own agenda to fill that space up of how are you going to feel? And we know this if we turn on the TV first thing in the morning and the news is boom, 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 and everything that's flashing through the screen is negative and a big stressor to our body. Then
Mhm.
we go out on our walk and our mind is just like, oh no, we can't cross the street this way because this happened and then this happened here. And there's so much negativity in the world. And just like you said, if we're not mindful and if we don't intentionally put those good thoughts in there, someone in this world is going to do that job for us.
Yes.
So it's taking that ownership of oneself. And that's that entrepreneurial
Yes.
spirit that needs to come in of you are in charge of you instead of you
Yes.
clocking in and out for somebody else and doing
Right.
all those things. And I agree with you that for some people that is their perfect life and that is amazing. I think we're all built
Yes.
so
Yes.
individually and this
Yes.
world would not function with everybody
Mhm.
in their space doing what they were born to do. But what if
Right.
what if we break it down to simple things? If we need new shoes and we go into the store and the person helping us, they absolutely love they're shoe fanatics, right?
Yeah.
They're telling you about
Yes.
all this and that and I'm like,
Yes.
I don't get it, but I'm so happy for them. I love that they're in their space. So sometimes people are not going to understand our
Mhm.
job, and that's okay.
Yes.
We're not there for them. We're
Yes.
there to shine bright so that the people that need us, that are meant to be in our circle, can find us. And the only way they can find us if we are being authentic, if it's truly coming from the heart,
Yes.
and if we truly feel like what we are sharing is worthwhile, worth effort, worth our time and energy.
Yes. So I think the advice would be not only something that aligns, but something that's worthy of your expertise and your time. Because if you're going to start something, whether you choose to write a course and sell the course, um, you're investing who you are. You are investing your vibration, your energy into that. And if you choose to work and partner up with a company, you are investing time to learn and to learn how to share with other people and to learn how to plan and how to order and how to use their online parts
Yeah.
that are there, right? So no matter what you choose, there's that space of needing not only the alignment part, but also for it to be something that is what you are serious about doing in this particular time and space.
Right. And that's the only way your true self would shine through, because the reality is, if I'm partnering with a company, there could be thousands, millions of people with that same exact product. So what
Yes,
is the differentiating factor? It's you.
it's you.
And so looking around and realizing, oh, well, they all have the same product, but realizing that the way it lands for other people is going to be completely different. And so don't try to be robotic. Don't try to, there's, yes, ins and outs that everybody must learn
Mhm.
in order to be successful. But don't forget that the people you attract are there for you. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't matter if there's e-courses already out. It doesn't matter, because
Better.
yours isn't there and your voice isn't there and your thoughts and your uniqueness. And I think we've all been in those situations where, you're trying to explain something to someone and everyone's like, oh, do this, do this, do this. And finally that one person comes around and they say it, and it lands differently. And sometimes it could be those exact same words, but you just
Yes.
feel the energy different. It lands different. It sticks. And that's where you have found that spot.
Yes. 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 Oh, so, so, so good. Claudia, I don't ask this question all the time, but if there was somebody that you have a conversation with, the person can be somebody who's living now or not, can be somebody who is part of your family or not. Um, who would you have that conversation with if you could have one with anybody? And what would the topic be that you'd want to venture into?
That is so interesting. I often think about all of the blessings that I have in my life, and I look back at ancestors, and I
Mhm.
don't have a face or a name in mind, but I think about the ancestors and how much they struggled through their life. My husband and I, both of our parents are immigrants. They came here from different countries, and just the different opportunities that we have on our lap now, and they didn't appear overnight.
Right.
And I look at my life now and I look at just having that financial freedom, what it has done for me, for my family, to be able to show up completely different for my husband, for my kids, for a mission that really speaks to my heart. And I can't help but think that all that magic has been working for a long, long time. And
Yes.
oftentimes, fear stops us from taking the next step when we realize even just having the opportunity alone is something that our ancestors would have wanted right from the beginning. It's something they probably fought for. And so, us
Yes.
now living in this incredible time where we can choose to connect with people around the world or in different states, as you and I are currently, it truly is such this. It's a big blessing that I feel a lot of people take for granted. All of us have this own unique magic within us. And I feel like life is so short. And if there's something that we need to be saying to the world, we don't know how much time we have.
Right.
Now is
Right.
the perfect time.
Now is
Tomorrow's not promised.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's what comes to my mind often. My ancestors, the struggle they have, the opportunity that I now have, and how I don't want to sit around waiting on that.
So good. Claudia, is there anything that you want to reiterate as we wrap up?
Um, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I've enjoyed our conversation so
You
much.
have to.
I think at the end of the day, I truly believe that we are our own biggest investment that we'll ever make. And sometimes we make health so daunting, right? Healthy habits so daunting. And it could be as simple as making it a habit to get sunshine first thing in the morning, or a walk around the block, right? So simple little things like, what can we do to fill our cup so that way we show up for ourselves differently, we show up for our business differently, we have that positive trickle effect for the people around us. And so I think as a society as a whole, there's often this like, oh, people are too busy for self-care, and busy is this badge of honor. I love looking at my schedule and seeing what doesn't need to be there.
Right.
What can I take off until I'm left with empty space that I can fill as I want? And I have those pockets weaving all around my schedule today, and it's a
Yes.
breath of fresh air.
Yes.
And it's a big blessing because I remember working 12 to 14-hour shifts per day and
Right.
not being able to see that vision for myself, And so I think about like where I was compared to where I am now.
Mhm.
And it 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 was just simple little steps. It's like looking at a staircase and just taking that one next step, that one next step. I just want to help one friend understand there's different
Yes.
options, and that opens the door to other possibilities. So I think
Yes.
that's what I would leave you with.
Ah, so good. Thank you so much, friend. I just
Oh,
appreciate you
thank
carving out
you.
time for this conversation, Claudia.
Oh, it's such a blessing.
Beautiful. And as we are wrapping up this time together, the thought that comes to my mind is that space of courage, that space of choosing to take the step, choosing to listen inwardly, and giving ourselves permission, not waiting for someone else to say, yep, this is the way, but giving ourselves permission to take that next step. I'm so glad that you are here. And until next time, I just encourage you to be looking at your life, expanding in incredible ways, and to be taking care of yourself.